All right, guys, welcome into another edition of Behind the Beat here for September 2025. And today we're going to be talking about Nostalgic Experience, a track that I dropped last month in August at the end of the month. It's the second single from my upcoming album, instrumental album called Leaves and Soil, which is coming out early release in October, official release in November. And this one, I felt like this one was definitely a track I wanted to put out as a single because it was just such a mellow, vibey type of track. And I think I like, the fact that I'm putting it out toward the end of the summertime, kind of when things are starting to cool off. People are going back to school or just doing any type of fall activities that are going to be starting up soon. And this track really gave that type of energy to me, and I felt like it was a perfect song to release as a single. Just so happened to end up being the second single. I don't think that was intentional by any means. But again, just like we talked about on Immunity last month, this song is not really doing too much, effects, too many crazy things going on. It's just keeping it very simple, very to the point. And believe it or not, checking out this session again, I did not use any effects on this whole song at all, which is kind of rare. Usually I'll use like a low pass filter or some type of fade out or something, even if it's small. I don't go crazy with the effects ever. But this particular song, I don't think I used any effects. Let me check to see if I even used a reverb. So I used a little bit of reverb here and there. The drums I kept completely raw, which is very interesting. Um, but overall, there's really not much going on with this track. So I'll kind of break down, the song itself and dive into the normal things. But the song title, "Nostalgic Experience," I don't know. I think this track reminded me of the feeling that nostalgia brings to someone. Specifically, like, I think the older we get, we tend to look at our past in certain types of ways, and we gravitate towards the things that we loved the most when we were younger, and we kind of romanticize that in a way, even if it's not like, how it actually went down. We tend to romanticize it. So I think, I don't know, this track gave me that vibe, so that's kind of where the name came from. It was just thinking back to, like, oh, simpler times. You know what I mean? That's just kind of what I took from it, and that's where the name came from. And overall, it just has like a very vintage feel to it, with the sample and with the drums and things like that, because it's kind of a combo of, you know classic hip hop, but a very mellow chill hop type of sound. So it's kind of combining some of my favorite elements together to make something pretty unique. But the first thing in this beat is the sample itself, which I obviously had to chop up and kind of rearrange my own way, like I do with most of these. So I'll play you guys the original. I think I just ended up kind of slowing this down to fit the BPM, which is 81. So let's hear the original first, and then I'll play you guys the chops. So that guitar is like very bluesy. It has a almost blues type of vibe to it. And there were parts of it, the parts of the sample I didn't really like. Um, so I wanted to focus on primarily the parts that I did enjoy. And so that is how I got to this right here. So yeah, I mean, from there you can already hear like there's potential with that. So I think once I got that part down, it was pretty self-explanatory that I needed to do drums next, because I could already hear, like I said, I could already hear kind of that knock, that boom bap going in there. So I found this awesome drum loop that I put in there, and again, matches up with 81 BPM. And I didn't really chop it that much. I think I just stretched it to the time signature. So let's hear that. And all I did here at the end of the 8 bars was add this little variation in here. Just, kind of doubling up the snare. But those drums are just so crisp and so clean. And again, obviously, I didn't have to do anything to them. I didn't even have to add any EQ to them because they were already mixed perfectly. So I just put them right in there and just turn the volume up. The next element is the synth, which comes in towards the pre-chorus and the chorus itself. Again, this one, let me see what I did with this one. So I did add effector, but I think all I did was kind of filter out some of the highs that were in there and kind of make it more muddy and gritty to fit with that bass guitar. So let's hear that. I think that one specifically is more of it's almost like a distorted piano that's been distorted a few times. And like I said, I took a lot more of the high end out again. So it feels totally different. When you hear it in the track itself, it almost sounds like some string elements or something different going on. I don't know. I just felt like I had to muddy that up a bit to kind of have it fit with the bass guitar, like I said. And then we have these pads here that are on the hook, which I think I also did the same. So I lied when I said I didn't put any effects whatsoever, but I don't really count this as like effects in my mind, because you're basically just kind of taking some of the high end out, and it looks like I did exactly the same thing here with this filter. Usually when I think of effects, I'm thinking of like things dropping in, coming out, things of that nature. And there's no effects clips on this thing, so technically I'm not wrong, but very minimal effects going on here. Well, let's hear these pads. And those pads started off very much in a gospel tone. Like I said, they had a lot more of that vocal range to them. But by kind of, adding that filter in there, I wanted to take some of that away. Usually you don't want to take some of that away. But I felt like this particular song, this particular beat was not calling for, the full range of the gospel sound. It was calling more for like, just keep it very like relaxed and calm. It's not very boisterous. It's not very in your face. So that was really the thought process behind kind of adding some more grit to both of those. So let's hear that all together now. And that's pretty much it. Like I said, I've kind of been experimenting with that stop and start right there in between a chorus and a verse. I want to play that again. I love that so much. Where things just drop out and then come back with kind of no warning. And I do it again on another song that's on this project. That is not one of the singles, but you'll see it. I might do a behind the beat for that when the project comes out. But I love that too. But overall, like I said, this song is not, nothing was really done to it other than just adding some grit to the certain things, The bass guitar really carries it throughout, and I think I chopped definitely the right parts for it. And everything just sits exactly where it's supposed to. So this, like I said, this song is out right now, all streaming platforms. It's called Nostalgic Experience. You can check it out if you want. Um, the link will be in the description of the video here. I got one more single coming out in September this month called Embrace. It's the final single from the project. And like I said earlier, the project will be out on Even starting in October, and it'll eventually be out in November on all platforms, with Bandcamp included. I'm doing an art piece for this project as well, which is kind of going to be the thing that I pair with the album. A little bit different. I've been doing merch and vinyl and things of that nature. This is like, just a little canvas with all the artwork on it. Unfortunately, I don't have it down here with me, or I'd show you guys. But, keep an eye out for the announcements of all that stuff when it gets closer to the date. But definitely check out this song, Immunity and Embrace, that comes out this month. And next month, I'll probably do the Behind the Beat for Embrace. So, yeah, as always, I appreciate you guys for watching and supporting. There was a lot of support behind Immunity in August overall. And so I'm excited to see, how people receive this one as a full track. So thank you guys again for tuning in. We'll see you next month on another edition of Behind the Beat. Until then, stay safe, stay positive, and take care.